What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome in Detroit Den 313 with Steve. Hammer that subscribe button for me. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, it's game day. There's nothing better than just a crisp afternoon watching some football, fall weather. You got your hoodie on, your comfy clothes, your comfort food. It's just a good Sunday for us here in the Perkins house. Can't wait for some football. Big matchups today. Very interested in that Vikings and Bears matchup we got. Then the Seahawks and Rams at 4 o'clock, and then followed up by game of the week should be Eagles Lions. Going to get into some stats, some roster updates, some predictions, what to look for, and a chance to win a prize at the end of the show. Stick around, enjoy it, relax, enjoy what we talk about here. It's greatly appreciated if you hit that subscribe button again. You guys already know about the injury update. I did a show on it the other night. Sam LaPorta out for this game, and then the next day followed that up with, Sam LaPorta is actually going to the IR. Minimum 4 games he's going to be out. Not ideal. It's crunch time in the NFL season. Later half of the schedule, we're missing one of the league's best tight ends, our second in receiving yards, Sam LaPorta. So it's a hit to the team, but I feel like Dan Campbell and the guys knew that this was coming. They're going to be prepared. They have options. We got guys that can do special things. We'll talk about that more as we go. So just a little update. I did not do a show on Sam LaPorta, just his injury, expecting him to be out for 1 game. Damn, 24 hours later, he's actually going to miss 4. So not ideal, but we're going to get through it. This Eagles team, man, I don't find them last year. They scared me more, if I'm being honest. Like looking at that Eagles team, the amount of points they were putting up, the defense they were playing, they were looking like a juggernaut. I just don't see that with them this year. So let's break down some of the stats here. Points per game, Lions 31.5, second in the league. Philly 24.5, ranking 12. Defense, man, Philly's got a top 10 defense there. Giving up 21.3. We're not far behind though. 22.2, ranking 13th. I think our defenses are pretty fairly matched, especially given the injury report for the Lions. No Kirby Joseph, no Marcus Davenport still, no Josh Pascal. I would expect those 2 guys maybe to be ready next week, hopefully, or maybe Thanksgiving. No Terrion Arnold, if I didn't mention him. We're banged up and we're still playing really, really good football. We're a top 15 defense. It's all you can ask. We talked about that at the beginning of the season. If the Lions could be a top 5 offense and a top 10-ish defense, we're going to be a hard team to beat. And I think we're right there. I think that's why a lot of people are focused on this Sunday night football game, because this has massive playoff implications. Every game today in the NFCs feels like there's massive implications for seeding, division stuff. It's just a good day for football. I can't wait to get into it, sit back in the chair, watch some football with my girl, and just have a good little Sunday. So there's the stats. There's the injury report. You guys already know it. It's not breaking news. Philly, man, tough place to play. It's a tough place to go on the road at night. Those Eagles fans are going to be ramped up. It's going to be a hostile crowd. I think this will be one of the most hostile crowds we've seen all season. Kansas City could probably have a little something to say about that. But I think Philly fans, we talked about it the other day, like there's a difference between passionate and asshole. And I think Philly fans have definitely crossed that line, being the worst fan base in football. But these are pros. The Lions know what they're walking into. They know that it's going to be probably not a takeover type stadium like we've seen in Cincinnati or Washington or other stadiums. I think this is a passionate fan base that the Eagles have. I don't think we'll see as much blue in the stands, but it doesn't matter, man. I trust in this team. This is a damn good football team the Lions have. Roster for roster, I think this is the matchup that a lot of people had circled on their calendars when the schedule came out back in May. Everyone wants to see the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions, what should have been the matchup in the NFC Championship game last year at Ford Field, but we couldn't take care of business. So we're not going to cry over spilled milk. If we handle business against Washington, we could have got a look at what could have been in the NFC Championship game up close and personal in our own backyard. But offensively, here's what I'm looking at the Lions to do, man. We're going to have to dominate those trenches, and it's going to be very, very tough. If I was the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, I would attack the interior of my offensive line, with that being Graham Glasgow, Tate Ratledge, and 74, Awasika. Sorry, drawing a blank there for a second. I would attack that and just see what they could do. And the Eagles have the recipe to attack. They have 2 of the best defensive tackles in the league in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Like, those guys are absolute beasts. I know during draft time, there was some very, very heavy conversations about should the Lions take the risk on Jalen Carter. We ultimately passed. We had the same conversation a couple years ago with Big Jordan. Him and Hutch could have possibly been drafted together. We traded up, go with Jamison Williams. There's a lot of things. I think that was the same draft. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not so sure that was the same draft, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I know he was talked about as Hutch and Jordan Davis being paired together on the defensive line. So the defensive tackles for the Eagles is probably where I'm going to be watching the most when we're on offense to see how our offensive line is holding up against them, because Jalen Carter is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. Say what you want. He might be a borderline dirty-ish player, kind of a scumbag, kind of fits right in there with that Philly mantra. But when it comes to just playing football, he's one of the best defensive tackles. Like you can't argue that. So how are we going to hold up against that? Because we've had this conversation for a long time now. If Jared Goff doesn't have time in the pocket, or if we're not being able to block in the run game, our offense can be stalled out. We've seen it against Minnesota. We've seen it a little bit in some other games. It's first thing first, got to take care of business with blocking. Especially when I'm hearing things from John Morton. I know he's not the play caller anymore. Dan Campbell, big game for him to be calling plays in this one too. So we've just heard the stuff of communication issues too many times this year, especially with the offensive line. Like if we block up front, we're almost impossible to beat. Not quite impossible, but we're gonna drag you out to those deep waters, like Dan Campbell said, and we're gonna drown you eventually late in the games. But if you can't block, can't do really anything with the football. So offensively, who do I think is going to be the breakout player on offense? With Sam LaPorta being out, with Tesla being a game time decision, leaning towards probably playing, but as of now, don't officially know what his status is going to be. I think it's going to be a big JMO game. I think it's going to be another big Jamison Williams game. I think they want to get him involved. I think that the Detroit Lions have to get him the football. I'm wondering what the defensive backs are going to be doing and who's going to be guarding who for the Eagles, because they got really good secondary as well with Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, not too far from us, right down the road. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa a couple years ago. He's just a fantastic player that, I don't know, me and Will had some pretty good conversations about should the Detroit Lions look into him, and we weren't exactly sure what he was going to play. Found a good spot there in Philadelphia. He's playing really, really good football right now. So who's going to be covering who? I would expect Quinyon Mitchell probably to be on Jamison Williams. I think speed for speed, that's a good matchup for both teams. I think it probably favors we already spanked that ass last week. The Philadelphia Eagles, with how fast Quinyon Mitchell is. Not many corners in the league can keep up with JMO, but I don't know that Quinyon Mitchell is 100% the answer, but he's got the skill set to do so. So I'll be looking at that. Who's watching who's shadowing, who's following on offense when we have the football. I could also see this, man, if we're blocking really well. I'm still going with Jamison Williams as my offensive player of the game, but could be another big game for Jahmyr Gibbs too, because I'm starting to see him get involved in the pass game a little bit more. And when I look at who can cover Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield, is it going to be Jahad Campbell, because they have Zach Bond as well? This Eagles defense is just loaded from top to bottom. They have playmakers at all three levels: defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs. Like, they got dudes all over the field. That's why they're a top 10 defense. That's why they're one of the league's best still. So offense versus defense for us is going to be a pivotal matchup. Jameis Williams, player of the game, but I would not be surprised if Jahmyr has another over 100 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns. But offensive player of the game, I'm going with JMO. I'll say his stat line is going to be 8 touches, 140 yards, 1 touchdown. That's what I'm going to go with. 8, 140, 1 touchdown. Now let's flip it to the defensive side of the football. This is where I got to be careful, because I don't want to have to come on here tomorrow morning and put my foot in my mouth. But I feel like the Lions defense can overpower this Philadelphia Eagles offense. I don't see the handful of games I've watched for the Philadelphia Eagles. They just don't look the same as what they did last year, when every other play Saquon Barkley was running for a 65-yard touchdown. I feel like their run game has not been as good. Don't know what's going on there. Don't care. Hope it struggles again this week. AJ Brown, I don't know if he's got more touches than, I don't know, what's he got, 10 touches on the year? It's probably a little more than that, obviously, but disgruntled, unhappy. He's taking shots at the team. He's not being involved. I don't want this to be the week that they get AJ Brown going. So what's the big matchup? It's their offensive line versus our defensive line. It's always going to be the trenches more than likely. But outside of that, is probably going to be Devontae Smith for me. It is Meek Robertson, game time decision. No official word on him either. Should have said that at the beginning of the show. But I think Meek Robertson versus Devontae Smith will be the matchup I'm watching for on defense. One of our best corners, if not our best corner. Hands are full. Devontae Smith, former Heisman Trophy winner, been a very, very solid wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. But I think it all starts up front with not letting Saquon Barkley get loose. Do not let that guy get going. Do not let this be the week where he has that 200-yard game, because he's a top 5 back in this league. Wherever you want to rank him, doesn't matter to me. You can't have a conversation of top 5 running backs in the NFL right now and not mention Saquon Barkley's name. And Jahmyr Gibbs is in the same conversation as well. But I don't want to see that run game get going. I don't want to see Saquon start to find his groove in this one. Same thing with their passing game. I don't think the Eagles' passing game is very great. I was watching that Packers game with them last Sunday night, I believe they played. Just an ugly game, 0-0 at halftime. I'm like, my God, this is the primetime game of the night. This is a 0-0 game. Like, if you're a very, very big fan of defense, and this is right up your alley. But limited scoring. It was kind of like 3 and outs every other drive. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, I hope the Lions don't get overcaught with thinking that that's the same Eagles team that's going to show up. Maybe they just had a bad week. I will not sleep on this Eagles team. So it's all hands on deck. All hands on deck for us. Big game. This has massive implications with seeding. If we want that number 1 seed again, if we want that bye week, and we want home field advantage throughout the playoffs, got to win this game. Got to win this game, because you don't want to have essentially 2 games. Philly has 2 games up on us if they happen to win. So you're not probably getting the number 1 seed if you lose today. So I think that this is a massive, massive game. We would need Philadelphia to lose 2 NFC games for us to have a chance. So I want to avoid that at all costs. I love having the future of what we can control in our hands and not have to get to week 17 and saying, oh, we need the so-and-so to beat the Eagles, or so-and-so to beat the Bucs, or the Vikings, or the Bears, the Packers. Win these football games. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the season. Our destiny's in our hands. We have another game with Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, so we're completely in control. But you got to win this one. It's a must win with implications, but it's not a must win on the season. I don't want to take it away and make it sound like I'm diminishing this game at all, because I feel like this is probably the most important game up until when we play the Rams. So pivotal game. I want that number 1 seed. I know a lot of people are saying, well, we had the number 1 seed last year and then shit the bed against Washington. I get it. I'm with you. No argument from me. Injuries played a factor. Team wasn't ready. Maybe there were some distractions with the Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn stuff. I don't know. I don't care. It's a new season. Defensive player of the game for me. This is tough, man. I'm going to go with, this is tough. I got so many guys to choose from, and I have a note here written down, but I don't know that I want to go with this. My note says Brian Branch, big game, because I feel like he's going to have a massive impact on the passing game, the running game, everything. But something at me at the very, very, very last second, I just have Derek Barnes' face in my head. I don't know why. It literally popped up to me as I said who my defensive player of the game is going to be. I think Derek Barnes might have a big game. I think he's got the speed, athleticism to match with Jalen Hurts if he happens to get out of the pocket and to be able to chase him down, maybe get a tackle for loss or a sack on Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts if it's a passing situation. So I think I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna go with Derek Barnes here. I think he has 5 total tackles, 1 sack, two tackles for loss. I think he's playing damn good football. Nobody's talking about him. He's playing like one of the best linebackers in the league, and he's getting no attention from the national media. That's perfectly fine. Let's fly under the radar. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go offensive, Jamison Williams, defense, Derek Barnes, X Factor, I'll call him Brian Branch. I think passing game, we shut that down, make them one-dimensional in any type of way, and I think we're going to be fine. Final score prediction. As much as I would like to just turn this game on at 8 o'clock tonight, sit back, relax, not even worry, I just don't think it's going to be that type of game. I think it's going to be a 1-possession score. I believe the Detroit Lions are 2.5-point underdogs on the road. Last I looked, depending on which betting app you're using. I think the Lions squeak one out 27-24. I think it comes down to a field goal. I don't know if it involves us stopping or blocking a field goal or them missing at the last second for a tie. but I could see a world where we're up 3, they have the ball, and we come up with the defensive stop. So that's what I'm going to go with. 27-24, Detroit Lions. Giveaway time. I told you guys, chance to win a prize at the end of the show. If you've been watching long enough, you know what we do on our game day shows. Guess the first touchdown score of the game, last touchdown score of the game, and the exact score of the final score exactly. Touchdown score is who possesses the ball at the end zone. So if you say Jared Goff, you're either banking on a rushing touchdown or him receiving a touchdown some way, but not a passing touchdown. I hope you guys are clear on that, because I see a lot of people even guessing that the final touchdown score is going to be a Jake Bates field goal. So I'm trying to clarify and make it as crystal clear as I possibly can. It's who possesses the football in the end zone. There seems to be some confusion. I don't know what else I could do to help with that. Also, you have until kickoff when the ball goes in the air. No more entries. Do not edit your entry at any point or you will be disqualified, because there's no way for me to go and look back and see what your original guess was. So if the game's over, then you go in there and you edit your comment to the exact score, exact touchdown scores, all that. Disqualified if it's edited. Has to be before the game, has to be before the ball goes up in the air. Some people are cutting it close, but I've been kind of cutting some slack if no touchdowns have been scored yet. So there it is, guys. Game day show. Appreciate you watching. Stick around, hit that like button. I'll be back later with another show.